Hey there folks, it's Brian with Foxfire Armory, and last time in this mini-series of Preparedness 101 we spoke about mindsets. This week we are going to be talking about knowledge is power. And what do I mean by that? Knowledge is power, right? Knowledge, knowing things, knowing how to utilize your tools, utilize your resources, that is going to be crucial moving forward in your preparedness journey. Now, everything I'm going to talk about here in this series is not necessarily going to be a how-to one type of 101 for preparedness. It's going to be more of a things that I wish personally I had learned, been told, taught prior to starting my prepping journey about 10 years ago. So without further ado, let me get into a few of the books that I find personally are very interesting and definitely contain some good knowledge and resources moving forward. So without further ado, here we go. First one I got here, and this was actually a book my wife picked up for me that I want to say she found at the dollar store, so it's amazing what you can find at the dollar stores. But it is the Arctic Cookbook, or the Arctic Book of Cooking and Cleaning, and it's chocked full of recipes, ways to clean and debone, all the kind of stuff that you would need to do to create hearty meals from food that you've caught. And it's very information dense. It does have some good pictures in it, but it is mostly informative. There's some really good stuff in here. Like they got some cakes in here, caramelized, like how to make caramelized onions, right? Who doesn't love some caramelized onions on a burger? But having books like this is definitely going to be a lifesaver. Now, you could do the Kindle route and you could store everything on there, but I am one who I love to have I love the touch and feel of the paperback. And so I tend to have both, right? I'll have the electronic versions, but I also will have the physical hard copies. So I will put a link to all these in the description, plus some extras that I actually don't have on hand currently. But so this one definitely I highly recommend because it's actually a fairly inexpensive book, and it's a pretty solid book there. It's pretty thick. A lot of good information in there. The second one we're going to talk about here is near and dear to my heart, and it's a map, or it's a book of maps. It is a world atlas. And this is something that everyone should have and everyone should know how to use. Everyone should know how to read a map. And specifically the World Atlas, I like this just for the plain and simple fact that it has a little bit of everything in it. Obviously, you're going to want to have locale maps, right? So if you have a location where your home is, where your bug out location is, you'll want a specific area map for both of those. Interstate maps are great if you need to travel from point A to point B to get to your location. So maps and knowing how to read them are going to be huge. You really need to know this stuff. You don't need to be a master wayfinder and know all the tricks and pace counting and all that. If you do, that's great. I personally don't. I would love to learn it. But maps, good atlas, definitely put that on your list. This one is actually something I just found pretty recently. I found these actually on Sportsman's Guide, and I've been looking for something like this, and there's a whole bunch in the series, but this one in particular is the U.S. Army Survival Field Manual, the FM2176 here, and these came out. They're perfectly legal to have for the public, but they have a bunch of stuff in here, and this is kind of what's really cool about these is they'll have edible plants that you can use for medicines, ointments, all that kind of stuff. And it's all in here, and they have great information. And this is basically what you would need for like a SEER type of school, which is, for those who don't know, is a survival course that the Army goes through specifically for survival evasion tactics. So any of these Army manuals, whatever you can get your hands on, they're great. They're very informative. They're very well done. They're not super thick, so they're easy to get through. They got some good pictures, but definitely good content to have. Especially in the world of knowledge is power, the more you have, the more powerful you're going to be. So then, The last two I got here in my hand that I'm going to put up. Like I said, I'll put more links to other books that I really like. Just don't currently have them with me. Stuff's still kind of packed away and I'm still trying to get it, everything. Is going to be these Bushcraft books. And these are relatively cheap. You can get them on Amazon. As much as I would prefer to support local bookstores, we don't really have too many around us anymore. So Amazon seems to be the only way to go to get a lot of these books for me, unfortunately. So one of the first ones that I really like is their first aid guide. Now, first aid is going to be huge in any sort of outdoor situation, and I'm an avid outdoorsman. I love to hunt, I love to fish, I love to be out there. So first aid is always crucial for me. So first aid book, again, these Bushcraft series they're phenomenal. I can't say much more about them. They're that good. I'm sure people are going to have their own opinions on that, but for me, I really enjoy these. The other one that I have is the trapping, gathering, and cooking, because everyone, especially anyone in a survival situation, should know how to do all three of those, especially the trapping and the gathering part, because if we do end up having to go out and forage for food, obviously you're going to want to know what you can eat, what you can't eat. So these they're pretty good. They got a nice little section in here on the edible plants and then what their uses are for. So the Bushcraft books, I'll link every single one that they have on Amazon. They might even have a whole series collection on Amazon. So that'll be it for this week. Knowledge is power. Get those books, read them, because what good are books if you don't actually understand the information in them. Again, thanks for tuning in, and until next time.